What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's RFG. I'm back at it today, and I'm coming off a 2-week YouTube suspension. YouTube suspended my account on either the 15th or the 16th of this month. So I'm back with another video to go over this current event right here with the whole Chad Wheeler shit. All right, when this Chad Wheeler shit popped off, I kind of fell for it at the beginning. I kind of got sucked in emotionally. But I later discovered that this was a complete psyop and this was a 100% hoax. I have the video on my Patreon that proves this situation was a hoax that was staged. Chad Wheeler is basically the white O.J. Simpson. This is all staged, and Chad Wheeler is the so-called white O.J. Simpson. All right? This is all about the divide between black and white. This is also about the divide between man and woman, between male and female. This is a Freemasonic goddamn deception. All right? Broke that down on the Patreon. You want to see that? Just go hit up the Patreon. The link is in the description. So, I'm going to break down how I was feeling and what I was thinking from an emotional standpoint. All right, when this shit went down, there was a lot of so-called black women going to YouTube and trying to criticize and trying to blame this situation on black men, on indigenous men. And that's when I was like, no, I wasn't having it at all. All right, I wasn't having it at all. And one of the videos that I looked at was a video from a woman who talked about the situation. This is her and her channel right here. All right. Her name is Real Talk with Yanni. And, I left some comments on the video stating that, why I disagreed with her. And I think what she's saying is absolutely atrocious. And I think, what she's saying is absolutely despicable, because at the end of the day, how can you blame indigenous men for a so-called black woman intentionally dating a white man and getting abused and nearly killed by that white man? How could you possibly blame a so-called black man for that situation when that woman, that indigenous woman, intentionally dated this man, knowing what culture he represented and knowing that he was abusive? You see what I'm saying? Because I looked up the records and found out this individual also got in trouble when he was at USC. He also got into trouble about some domestic violence shit when he was in college. So that goes to show you that the woman that was dating him knew full and well about this guy's true nature. You see what I'm saying? And I just don't see how this woman right here can try to put the blame on indigenous men when indigenous men didn't have nothing to do with this. All right, this right here was the so-called black woman's choice, who got involved with them. You see, and there are a group and many women out there, many so-called black women out there who who indulge in relationships with these kind of men, thinking that it's going to be better, that the grass is greener on the other side. And when they end up, failing in those relationships, they try to turn around and put the blame back on so-called black men. All right. And I detest that shit. I detest the hell out of that shit. That shit is hot garbage. That shit is hot fucking garbage. All right. So I saw a picture online on Instagram, and I had to screenshot the shit and share the shit. All right. So this is what a lot of melanated people who, go get a Caucasian man, this is what you hear a lot of them say. You see, You hear melanated women call melanated men conquered men. You see, they try to call us conquered men. You conquered men are the weakest links. All right, I'm gonna divest and get a zaddy. You see what I'm saying? So right here, this causes indigenous men to turn away, to turn their backs. And you know, when the Caucasian man shows his true colors, all right, now the so-called black woman puts the blame on the black man and says, why won't black men protect me? You see, this is hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy at its finest. And even though the situation was a stage psyop and a hoax, it still exposed the mentality of most so-called black women in this country. It still exposed it. You see, there was also a woman on my Facebook who is over 40 years old, and she is a full-blown devout feminist, and she actually believes that the so-called white woman struggle was the same as the so-called black woman struggle. You see, and she's over 40, and she's a miserable feminist. You see what I'm saying? And she's trying to tell young women to only date men based on their net worth. All right. And she also said that a woman should never split the living expenses with a man 50-50. The woman that I saw on my Facebook, I'm not going to give her, you know, any kind of clout or any kind of recognition. This woman was separate. I'm not talking about this woman. I'm talking about somebody totally different that was on my Facebook. And she was basically saying and trying to give reasons why women should not split the expenses 50-50 if they are in a committed relationship with a man. You see what I'm saying? And this same woman was talking about how women need to be independent, how women need to have a college degree, how women need to have all this money saved up from their jobs and their careers. And, you know, women need all this freedom and independence. But when it came to splitting the expenses with the man that they so-called love, it was then a problem. You know what that woman said on my Facebook? She said that splitting the bills 50-50 with a man only benefits the man. She said any woman who splits the bills with a man is only benefiting the man. And I'm here to tell you that is absolute, utter bullshit. Absolute, utter bullshit. Okay? Because when you look at income and net income between men and women, especially in the so-called black community, so-called black women make much more money than the so-called black man. So how in the fuck is splitting the bills 50-50 only benefiting the man? That's a lie. That's a lie. You see what I'm saying? There's no way that that hinders so-called black women. It does not. It does not, because in the so-called black community, or the indigenous community, the women make much more money than the men. So if you don't want to split the expenses 50-50 with your counterpart, with your significant other, that just goes to show that you really think nothing of your so-called significant other. I'm just keeping the shit real. You know, that's all I can do is keep the shit as real as possible, and I'm not even looking at this through a biased perspective. I'm not even looking at this through a biased perspective. I'm looking at this shit through an unbiased lens, through a logical, practical, unbiased, fair lens. That's how I'm looking at this. All right? So when you see these women out here, you know, these feminists, a lot of these so-called black feminists out here, and they're saying, oh, you need all this money, you need this career, you need this lifestyle, you need to be independent, and you need to be a boss bitch, and you know what I'm saying, you don't need no man, and when you get a man, you know, you shouldn't be splitting the expenses with him 50-50. All right? I'm going to call those women fucking hypocrites. Fucking hypocrites, because you want the same power and the same status as the man, but you don't want the same goddamn responsibilities as a man. And I'm going to call the fucking shit out. I'm going to call the fucking shit out. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeed. All right? RFG ain't no motherfucking simp. RFG ain't no motherfucking simp. If you want all the power, all the money, all the freedom, all the intelligence, and all the wisdom that a man has, guess what? That comes with responsibility. That comes with responsibility. And there's no way that you can shy away from that fucking responsibility. Plain and simple. So I'm here to tell all the men listening, if you see one of these women, or if you get a woman who wants to be in a relationship with you, and she's, you know, she has her own career, she has her own money, you see what I'm saying? She's doing her own thing career-wise. You know, you guys should definitely be splitting all the living expenses 50-50. All right? And even if, you know, you guys work something out and she's paying less than 50%, I feel like she should be making up for that with housely or homely duties in return. You see what I'm saying? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If you want all the power that the man has, you have to be able to take up all the responsibilities that come with it. Plain and simple. You know, and it's really sad that this woman who was talking about this bullshit, she was on my Facebook. My Facebook is private, and I keep my Facebook private, but I'm gonna go ahead and unfollow her. Her name is Tasha. And she's like over 40 years old. And honestly, I don't give a damn if she's watching this video. I just gotta come out and say, man, I completely fucking disagree with her message, and I think she's poisoning the minds. She is poisoning the minds of young so-called black women in the United States. All right? And she is causing them to be undateable, to be 100% undateable. All right? And that is terrible that she is over 40 years old and she still doesn't get it. She still doesn't get it. And she still, her whole MO is just anti-man, 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 anti-man. And I'm telling you, that kind of persona and that kind of mentality in this country is what has led to the most men in history leaving the United States and marrying foreign women and not getting married. We have the highest percentage of men who are getting married to foreign women, leaving the country, and not getting married to American women. We have the highest percentage of that in history. You see what I'm saying? And that is because of women like Tasha. You see? And it's very, like I said, it's very sad. Very, very sad that, you know, society has come to this in the United States. But pretty soon, we're going to have an entire generation full of single mothers, you see, because Tasha stated that, she stated that this society in America is ran by men, and she went on to say that men ruined everything and they complain about the same society that we created. Yeah, that's basically what she said, that men cry and bitch about the same society that we created. But what she failed to realize is there is a difference between indigenous society and so-called white society. There is a difference between indigenous society and so-called white society. You see, because Tasha continues to mix the Caucasian woman's struggle with the indigenous woman's struggle. You see, and that's where I can completely debunk her whole entire statement. You see, so in that aspect, indigenous men do not control and dictate the operations of this fucking society. That is the Caucasian man. All right? That's not the indigenous man. That's the Caucasian man. All right? All right? So when you live your life based on the Caucasian man's standards of so-called white supremacy, you're going to buy into the lie of, you know, men actually ruling the world, okay? Because this world is actually ruled under a matriarchy, and if this world was not ruled under a matriarchy, why the fuck is there a queen in England, and why is the United States nothing but a colony of England? According to the Constitution of 1871, the United States is nothing but an extension and a colony of England, and England is ruled by the goddamn Queen Elizabeth. So this is not a fucking patriarchy that we live under, ladies and gentlemen. In the Western society and Western civilization, it is a motherfucking matriarchy, and this is why all of the judges and the court systems are geared in woman's favor. Because the United States is nothing but a fucking colony of Great Britain, which is ruled by a goddamn queen. All right? It's a fucking matriarchy. It's not no goddamn patriarchy. You guys better wake the fuck up. So, you know, all you feminists out there can miss me with, oh, patriarchy, 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 patriarchy. Oh, our ancestors and our grandmothers were so oppressed. That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. All right? That's complete bullshit. And, in the Caucasian society, they wanted you to believe that it was ruled by a patriarchy, but that was all fool's gold. That was all fool's gold. All right? So yes, the so-called white man was able to do what he wanted to his woman for an extended period of time, you see? But ever since feminism kicked in, because of the Queen of Britain, that is when all of that went to the wayside, and we now live under a fucking matriarchy. Ever since Queen Elizabeth rose to power, the Caucasian society fell under a matriarchy. Ever since Queen Elizabeth rose to power, Caucasian society has been under matriarchal rule. Go fucking look it up. This is why women have all the power in the court systems. All right? I'm not talking out of the side of my neck. I'm not talking out of my ass. So women haven't been oppressed since Queen Elizabeth rose to power. And as far as so-called black women, indigenous women have not been oppressed since the goddamn 80s. Since the goddamn 80s. So-called black women have had control of black households since the fucking 80s. All right? And I can prove this because right here, since 1970, out of wedlock birth rates have soared. In 1965, 24% of black infants were born to single mothers. By 1990, the rates had risen to 64% for so-called black infants. So in 1990, 64% of black households were headed by single mothers. In 1990, 64% of black households were headed by single black mothers. 64% in 1990. So do you know that that has risen to over 80% now in 2021? That rate has risen to well over 80%. Okay, we're talking over 30 fucking years ago. We're talking over 30 fucking years ago, and we all know goddamn well that the problem has only gotten worse. We all know good and well that the problem has only gotten worse over time. So if the black single mother rate was at 64% in 1990, you better bet your last goddamn dollar that this rate has reached over 80%. I think it has hit 85%. 85% of so-called black mothers are single mothers as of now. Okay, and this is just what I believe based off of the simple fucking statistics. All right? All right? So how has the so-called black community benefited from female leadership? How has the so-called black community benefited from this feminism and this female leadership? Let's see how it's benefited. 78% of the prison populations are headed by single mothers. I actually think this is higher. All right. All right. And, you know, these same single mother households, this is what they have created right here. Right here. Murder rates in the major cities of America that are skyrocketing, right, at an all-time high. Okay, so we have gang violence, gun violence, you know what I'm saying, make America gay again. You see what I'm saying? This is what black single motherhood leads to. All right, and also drug usage. So we have a high increased population of indigenous crime that is skyrocketing. We have a homosexual and lesbian population that is increasing at an all-time high, and we have drug usage and a suicide rate that is at an all-time high. All right, and this is, you know, we can thank a lot of this to so-called single motherhood. So-called single motherhood. All right, all of these communities are headed by single mothers. All right, all right. And like I said, I'm not gonna put all the blame. I'm not gonna put all the blame on indigenous women, because I will say this: these single mothers and their fuckery, all right, of going against the masculine energy of the household, and you know, them wanting to raise children on their own, them wanting to be the mom and the dad. You see, I'm not gonna blame it all on them. They could not do it if it wasn't for the simp ass beta males, if it wasn't for the simp ass fucking feminized fucking cowardice fucking beta males that you know, went along with it and allowed them to do it. You see what I'm saying? That went along with it and defended these women. You see, there were a lot of feminine simp ass, simpleton ass, beta male ass men that went along with this bullshit right here, and this is why you got this. This is why you have shit like this. You see? So not only the brainwashed feminist woman, it is the brainwashed beta male, the fucking simp mangina beta male that has also contributed to the fucked up situation in the so-called black community. You see, so I can't do that and put all the blame on the so-called black woman, but the black woman did, I believe, did initiate it. All right, the black woman did have a choice to choose the government assistance or the man in her household. In the 1970s and the 1980s, when crack hit the streets, all right, the government also offered assistance to so-called black mothers and told them you cannot receive this assistance if a man was in the household and the woman intentionally agreed with the goddamn deal with the government and made sure that she received that money and she had no man in her household. She made sure that there was no man raising her child. All right, so the so-called black woman initiated it, and the simp brainwashed beta male went along with it and encouraged it. And that's where we are today. That's where we are today. And this is RFG telling everyone listening, if we don't do something now, if we don't do something about this epidemic now, all right, of the problem in the indigenous household in America, if we don't do something about it now, there will be an entire generation full of single mothers. There will be an entire generation full of over 100 million single mothers. All right? There'll be over 100 million single mothers, and there will be humans being raised by lesbian couples, homosexual couples, and robot couples. There will be men being raised. There will be children being raised by lesbian couples, homosexual couples, and robots. Robots will also be raising children. Mark my fucking words. That's where we're headed. That's where the fuck we're headed. All right? So like I said, we got to come together. We got to put the pride aside. We got to put the ego aside. And we have to understand that the positive can't exist without the negative. You see, the positive can't exist without the negative. All right? The yin can't exist without the yang. Right? The masculine can't exist without the feminine. Do you see the positive side of the magnet say, I'm better than the negative side of the magnet. I'm better than that negative force? Do you see the negative side of the magnet ever say, I'm better than the positive side of the magnet? I'm better. That positive side of the magnet, ew, they're dusty. Ew, it's dusty. I don't want to connect with that positive side of the magnet. That's how fucking insane humans have become on this fucking earth right now. And right now, I'm telling you, from my perspective, it's actually starting to get fucking dreadful. The situation right now on the earth as a human is actually starting to get very dreadful. You see what I'm saying? When the male and the female sex of the same species cannot cohabitate and cannot coexist. That tells you that there are some demonic forces at work that are causing these women to have higher amounts of testosterone in their blood. All right, and these same demonic forces are putting high amounts of estrogen in men's blood. You see, we're struggling against an unseen enemy. All right, that is the parasite on this earth. Okay, and I'm here to tell you, if we just indulge into dark alchemy, and getting back in tune with the forces of nature, we will definitely overthrow this parasite on a global scale in the very near future. All right, plain and simple. Like I said, even in the animal kingdom, there are no animals out there. Like, you don't see the female animals saying, we don't need men. Only one is the black widow spider. But that's on an insect level. I'm talking about vertebrates. Animals with backbones. You see what I'm saying? Animals with actual souls and chakras. You see? You see, but that's all I had to say on this topic. This was a bit of a rant, but the information had to get out. All right, it's RFG. I'm back at it today, and I'm gonna be dropping more videos on ancient history and ancient dark alchemy. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to see this video I have on the Chad Wheeler psyop, you already know. Just hit up the blue link in the description at the bottom of this video. I appreciate everyone who supports RFG and Atlantean movement. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's the chosen one, man. I'm out.